friends. Let me start by thanking DC United, Danita Johnson, Jason Levian, and Steve Kaplan. When we granted this All-Star game to DC, we had a press conference with Mayor Bowser, who's been a big supporter of our league and this club, and certainly was instrumental in allowing us to go forward with the Audi Field project. And for those of you who've been around for a while, RFK was our home for many, many years, but we really needed a stadium of our own. We needed a downtown stadium. Audi Field has been able to achieve that. It is just a fantastic facility, and it wouldn't have happened without Danita, without Jason, without Steve, and without Mayor Bowser. And when we make commitments to build new stadiums, we always deliver an All-Star game. And as you know, there have been other All-Star games here in DC, but we sat down with ownership and with Danita and said, you know, this has to be special. The league has such momentum. There's a lot of energy behind the sport. We are at a time of really of great opportunity. So let's be sure that the All-Star game could take advantage of that. And over the last couple of days, it's been nothing short of remarkable. Yesterday, I'm sure all of you know, we had soccer on the White House lawn, hosted by the First Lady. And for those of you who stuck around, President Biden came out and hung out with the kids and hung out with our All-Stars and really showed how far our league has come. I don't think 5 years ago we would have been hosted at the White House with our players, and particularly giving us the opportunity to promote all the focus and energy behind what we're doing with youth soccer. And that MLS Go program is something we're really excited about and really proud of, increasing access, particularly in underserved communities, for people to just play the game. And every one of those kids was in an MLS team identified MLS Go jersey, and I think it's going to be the beginning of even broader activities with that program. Today, we had training on the Mall. And you know, when you say, hey, let's go to Washington, D.C., what are you going to do? Well, you got to go to the White House, and then you got to do something on the Mall. And we were able to deliver that today. Seeing the guys out there training and, you know, playing soccer, volleyball with the Capitol on one end and the Washington Monument on another was just really spectacular. And again, just one more example of how far soccer in our country has come. And we think a lot of that growth has been driven by the momentum, energy, excitement, and investment behind Major League Soccer. It's been a great season, and for those of you who've been with me on this journey for many years, we seem to say that every year. And at some point, it's just going to normalize, and it's not going to be about growth, and it's not going to be about sort of we are achieving the unimaginable and defying what's possible, because we'll be just another major league that's doing what it does in, you know, creating thrills and agony on the field. This year was really spectacular. It was the launch of our new global partnership with Apple. We couldn't be more excited about partnering with the largest, most innovative company in the world. It's year one of a 10-year deal. But really, we've hit it by storm. The games are produced at a very high quality. For those of you who have been able to watch it on MLS Season Pass, it's accessible. The quality is great. The new game-in-game feature, which was just launched, is really spectacular. And let's remember that if you're on MLS Season Pass, every team has got their own room, their own season, which they can feed an endless amount of content. So think about the idea that every club has their own program to do whatever it is that they think will entertain, inspire, and provide value to their fans. So couldn't be more excited about that. We renewed our partnership with Adidas, and I bring this up at our State of the League because the commercial business at MLS has always punched above our weight. But to have a partnership with a company that's been with us since day one, that is part of the global conversation in soccer and football, really says a lot about Major League Soccer. We are likely their largest partner, regardless of whatever federation, confederation, or any other club. And obviously with an exciting new player joining our league, hopefully that energy and excitement and experience will go even to a higher level. We had been thinking about St. Louis for a decade, but not when the league was launched in 1996. St. Louis is one of those great soccer cities in America. It was way north of 10 years when I made my first trip there and met with the mayor and met with the governor and said, hey, how could we have a fully expanded MLS team and MLS league and not be in one of the birthplaces of the sport. Years of development, getting the Taylor family, who are so committed to our league, having a female ownership group, just adding to what's unique and special about St. Louis City. And then they lead the table, record performance on the field, and doing really, really well off the field. If you haven't been there, the downtown stadium, the training ground, and the offices and retail in downtown urban core is nothing short of spectacular. I made a social media post about our big El Tráfico event in the Rose Bowl, and it's not just a big game. There are a lot of big games that happen in our league. This was a rescheduled match. This was a match that was supposed to kick off our season, so imagine logistics of redoing that again many months later during July 4th weekend. But it was our largest attended event at the Rose Bowl. It was a great game, and again speaks to where we're going and what the opportunity is ahead. Obviously, we'll have questions about the signing of Lionel Messi, so I'll save my comments to the questions that you're going to ask. But a transformational moment for our league, for sure. The event in Miami was spectacular. I think the energy in and around that signing is even defying our expectations. I mean, I think to have the best player in the history of the game to be choosing Major League Soccer is something we couldn't be more excited about. And the fact that the first game will be Friday in our new inaugural Leagues Cup, our partnership with Liga. There's been so much talk about the rivalry between our national teams, and then the concept of interleague play and how would all that come to pass. This partnership, which is a joint venture, we are equal partners in this World Cup style tournament that will have our teams playing their teams, lots of energy behind it, lots of prize money, and we couldn't be more excited about it. Lastly, the soccer world is turning its attention even more than ever before to North America. Copa America, as you know, will be here next summer, the FIFA Club World Cup in 25, and then the World Cup in 2026. We have always believed that North America is driving a lot of the energy and a lot of the potential value of soccer on a global basis. And we believe that MLS is one of the drivers of all of that energy. We've said for many years we want to be the engine behind creating a soccer nation in America. And now it's creating a soccer continent. And I will tell you, as somebody that's been involved for decades now, all of the opportunity and energy and excitement about what's going to happen over the next number of years is going to have the whole world say, well, they finally got it. Great leagues, men's leagues and women's leagues, unbelievable competition, rising youth game, rising opportunity in and around the commercial business and the media business. And with all of that, our best days are still ahead of us. So no shortage of excitement. So let's take some questions.
You want to grab a seat here?
You know, I'm sitting here. Where'd you rather? I think you could see me better here than there, so I'm good. Take a seat, Dan. You could help.
I get to take a seat. All
you
right.
Could help
we're gonna clearly open it up to everybody. We've got DC now in the back. We're gonna kick off with. I think that's young Josh Gabor handling the mic back there. We have also a microphone over here for our folks. Then we're gonna go to San Diego resident Michele from Univision with the second question. We've got Sophie from TalkSport with the third, and then clearly we'll continue. Fernando wearing his Inter Miami colors down here, so we'll wonder what he'll ask. All right, back to DC now.
All right. Hey, Don. Good to have you in D.C. here. You know, obviously you touched on this in your introduction, but the excitement at the White House yesterday, the National Mall this morning, how special is it for these all-stars and for this league to have this whole week here in our nation's capital and what they say the most powerful city in the world? You
know, this is the most powerful and arguably one of the most important cities in the entire world, but it's also a great sports town. And those of you who live here know that. You know, whatever league or club it is, people here really love the game, love sports overall. And a great shout out goes out to the mayor and goes out to DC United, goes out to our staff. Many of them are here today that have been working for over a year on pulling off two unprecedented events, the White House event and the mall event. And by the way, for those of you who were at the Anthem last night, seeing a great concert and a wonderful water light show on the waterfront, when you're here, you kind of get a little bounce in your step and feels just so good about all of the energy around supporting big events. So we couldn't be more excited, and a real thank you goes out to everybody that's been a part of it.
Thank you.
All right, our next question, we're going to go to Michele with Univision. Josh, you got him with the mic there? Great.
Hi, Commissioner. How are you?
Great.
If I may, I'm going to skip All-Star, and I wanted to ask you about Leagues Cup that starts this Friday. What do you expect, and most importantly, what do you want to see, especially from the Mexican side? Thank you.
Well, you know, there's so much energy and activity in the summers here in the United States. It's been going on for many years. And our league, as many of you know, starts, you know, as early as February, and it goes all the way to December. And we were trying to find a way that you can create something special within our season. You know, the NBA just launched that within their season, and this idea that had been developing for many, many years to take a break in the summer. As you know, our schedule is quite different from the rest of the world, and do something that would capture the attention of what continues to be a very knowledgeable and passionate fan base, which is this combination of the traditional sports fan here in the United States and Canada and those really passionate soccer and football followers. So our expectations are high. It's new, you know, and like everything, you know, you have to take risks and have ambition when you're trying to continue to move forward. So we're expecting, by the way, our ticket sales are above what we had planned it to be. We've got a great partnership with Univision and Apple about broadcasting those games. And I think that tension that exists when we play even friendlies against Liga MX, I think you're going to see now that there's real pride and there's real money on the line. The CONCACAF Champions League has risen to a really competitive level. Our USA-Mexico matches are, you know, a sight to behold. So having this as an annual project is something we think is going to be terrific.
All right, our next question, we're going to go to Sophie with TalkSport. And then we'll go around the horn here. We'll go to Fernando, then we'll go back here. We've got Tom, and we'll go from there. Sophie.
Hi, Commish. Thanks for your time. There's been a lot of noise and chaos in the transfer market this summer, but undoubtedly two of the most exciting signings so far have been Messi to the league and Declan Rice to the Arsenal. Question is, when did negotiations or talks start with Arsenal to be the team for the All-Star game this season? And are the owners or were the owners involved in that? And a sneaky second, only because I was at the Rose Bowl game, would you endorse a July 4 game at the Rose Bowl every year? Because fans absolutely loved it.
Yeah, well, we were talking to Arsenal way before Declan was, you know, available in the transfer window. So just an added benefit, you know, to have one of the most exciting young players and the highest transfer fee for an English player just adds to, you know, the great excitement and drama around our all-star component. As you all know, we played against Mexico for many years, and then prior to that we had large clubs, and we'll have to see how it plays out when we go to Columbus next year. Owners really aren't involved in those discussions unless that owner happens to own a team that we're talking to. In this case, the Kroenkes own both the Colorado Rapids and they own Arsenal, so the first call was made to, you know, Josh Kroenke and saying, hey, we think this is a good idea. We know you're probably thinking about coming to the United States. Let's figure out a way that we have something that can be special in that the game is going to be at the nation's capital. We haven't even begun to think about what our opponent or even what our concept will be for next year, but our All-Star games always delivered, and I'm sure it'll be really great. You know, listen, I can't say that it should be something that we're going to commit to doing annually, but I think the best response is the league continues to defy even our own expectations of what it can deliver. I think the Messi signing is one of that. Years of figuring out San Diego, I neglected to mention that, as an expansion market with a record expansion fee, and opening up now the Miami opening up the Western Hemisphere and south of the border, and now San Diego opening up south of the border to Mexico. We have so many really, really exciting things going on. The San Jose Earthquakes play some games in large stadiums. We'll have to see. You know, MLS was launched in big football stadiums. We went through 20 years of building smaller soccer-specific stadiums. I still think that is our model. What's happening in St. Louis is, I think, indicative of that. But if a team wants to play a match in a large stadium and they think they can sell 80,000 seats, the league is going to say, just tell us where and we'll show up with the Apple cameras.
All right, go right down here in front to Fernando Fiore.
How you doing, Commissioner? Fernando
Great.
Fiore here. And for many of us that we were dreaming since 1996 about this league and all the dreams sometimes come true. Now Messi is here, but I'm not going to talk about Messi because it's a reality. Personal question, what is your next dream? Because this is not the end. To have one of the biggest players in the history of soccer is the beginning, and I'm sure you have already the next dream to make a bigger and better MLS for the future.
You know, it's a good question, Fernando.
Thank you.
It's a good question. You know, I think we're probably past the dream point. You know, we sit around and we plan with our owners and we plan internally about what is next. You know, can you attract the best player in the world? Can you round out to be in all the cities that you want to be in? Can you get the right media dynamic with a global platform, particularly when you want to be more of a global league? Now it's really about getting everything right, ensuring that we can continue to grow the quality of play in the league, continue to create the pyramid where our homegrown players are performing at a really high level and an academy level in MLS Next, having a rounded out MLS Next Pro. We haven't talked about that. The investment in that is more than the original investment in the league. The idea that we could have players going from being youth players up to a second team and then signing first team contracts. We have 2 more stadium projects that are in the works. New York City, we've been working on that one since 1996. That is approved and will shortly, start breaking ground. And then, as you know, in your hometown in Miami, hopefully a groundbreaking there as well. That means in almost every market, maybe with the exception of one, and I have confidence maybe they'll get something done there, we've solved our infrastructure questions. Other leagues don't have to worry about that. It's, how do I make my existing stadium better? In MLS, it was, how do we have the proper infrastructure to be able to be the league we want to be? I'd say the last part of it, which is just more strategic, we do think that there is a rocket fuel that's driving this sport and our league and the road to 2026. But for me, it's about 2027 and beyond. It's about what will this league look like 10 years from now, and I know I probably will not be standing here 10 years from now, and hopefully many of you will still be in the audience when the MLS All-Star press conference takes place, but that's where the real dream exists, that there's no real end to what soccer in North America can be, and all of us are just working really hard to sort of have no barriers to what that opportunity and what that deliverable is. I believe, and I've said this since I became commissioner, we want to be one of the top soccer leagues in the world. Now, we proved to the world that we could at least compete with the top player in the world. But how do we capture the hearts and minds of fans around the world? How do we capture the hearts and minds of every player? So a Declan Rice might say, maybe I won't go to Arsenal, maybe I'll go to St. Louis, right? So those are the kinds of things that we think about in the years to come, Fernando.
All right, we're going to go right back over here. We'll come back up there but 1, 2, 3, and if I could ask our journalists, state your name and affiliation. We see you in the room, but those on Zoom cannot see you.
Hi, Mr. Garber. I'm Catherine Paquette from CF Montreal. One of your picks for this 2023 MLS All-Star Game is the Montrealer Mathieu Choinière. Why did you choose him?
I saw him in the lobby, and we want to round out the experience for our players. There's the typical logical players that fans and technical people know are going to be in the All-Star Game, but you want to give that experience to somebody special, and I think he came over to me and thanked me, just about an hour ago, and I thought that was really cool. I love this idea of commissioner picks because it just gives you the opportunity to make a statement with some of the players, and we made a statement with that selection.
All right, our next question will go to Tom right behind you, and then Simon right after that.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Tom Bogert, The Athletic. Now that Messi has been officially signed and officially unveiled, I guess both on and off the field, what metrics are you looking at that would make it a success? Like, what are the goals and the deliverables on your end?
So it's a good question. I'll say the fact that the real success factor is not thinking about how does it translate in ticket sales, how does it translate in audience, but how does it really speak to the reputation of the league? And that's what we're all working hard and have worked hard for so long to create. We want him to have a good experience. I was at the event a couple of nights ago, and my great moment was not the pictures and the unveiling, it was watching Lionel by himself, standing there looking out of the crowd and nodding his head, and then walking out and kicking the ball around with his kids. Because we want him to feel that he's part of the MLS family. And because of his global appeal, if he believes in Major League Soccer, if he is part of the great journey that we're on to the path to being one of the top leagues in the world, and when he's done no different than many of the other great players who've played in our league, to look back and say, I think Major League Soccer is not only on a rise, but has arrived. And I'll give you an example of that. I'll put that aside. I attend a lot of big sporting events. And when I see Thierry Henry, or I see Yuri Djorkaeff, or I see David Villa, I was at the Champions League final, and I saw Frank Lampard, and I saw Steven Gerrard, and they just say, we can't believe where MLS is. It's just continuing to defy everyone's expectations. And at some point, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, there'll be some player who was thinking about it, Major League Soccer, because he saw about the experience and success of Lionel Messi with Inter Miami.
All right, we'll continue in the back. Then we'll come up here, gentleman white, then we'll go to Jerry, and we'll continue to work it around. All right.
Hi, Mr. Garber. Simon Stone, BBC. You talk about the...
It's like a scene out of Ted Lasso, So I'm from the Independent.
I'll avoid the kind of...
I wanted to put you on edge a little bit. Now your question will be harder to...
You talk about the league. Does the league face a challenge, like many other leagues are facing a challenge, from the investment in Saudi Arabia and what they're trying to do with their league at the moment, given the kind of player that they are trying to sign?
I said this in, I think I had a little media roundtable the other day. I have been connected to the Saudi League through the World League Forum that I'm a co-chair of for many, many years. And I believe that emerging leagues in emerging markets having energy and having investment and creating noise is a positive, because for many years we were that challenging league, right? And we're in a different spot than we were in the past. So I don't look at that as a threat in any way to Major League Soccer. I actually think it's positive for the sport. And I wish them well and hope that our clubs can play one of their clubs in the Club World Cup here in 2025 and see that the sport is spreading its influence. Obviously we have great connections with the European leagues, but I live here in this part of the world. I am a supporter of CONCACAF. I've seen the energy and investment that's gone into this part of the world. I want to see the rest of the world being a big part of the soccer family, and whether that's in Saudi Arabia or whether it's in Asia, whether it's in the emerging professionalism of some of the leagues in South America.
All right, Josh, we're going to go right here in the second row, and then after that we'll go to Jerry in the first row, and we might have time for one or two more after that because we do have the All-Stars coming on. We'll go to the back to our TV friends back.
Mr. Garber, I'm Juan Pablo Barsky. I'm coming from Argentina, DirecTV and TNT. The MLS started in 1996 after a World Cup in the USA. The next World Cup in this country with Canada and Mexico will be 30 years after the first game. How important is for the MLS the performance of the U.S. national men's team?
Two things, a bifurcated answer. The first is MLS was born out of the 1994 World Cup. The World Cup can do so many things to spread the beauty of the game here in this country and obviously in Canada and Mexico. And I look forward to seeing how we could work closely with FIFA and with CONCACAF and with U.S. Soccer, with the Canadian Soccer Association, with the FMF, to ensure that we're together building the game so it is what we want it to be in 27 and beyond. Early in MLS's history, we felt we were so tied strategically to the success of the men's national team, and I don't believe we are today. We had players from almost 40 different countries playing in Qatar. You're going to start seeing more and more players from around the world competing in our league and playing for the national teams, like Almada, who I just saw when I was walking over here, and walked over to him and say, hey, it's not just about a great number 10, it's about you too. You're one of those guys that really, really speaks to the future of soccer and the future of Major League Soccer. So I think there will always be MLS players that play for our national team, and if not, vast majority of them will come through Major League Soccer, which has its value as well. So I will continue to be as supportive as we can, but we're not dependent on our players competing for the success of the World Cup in 26 or our league in 27 and beyond.
All right, we're going to go to Jerry, and then we're going to go in the back to one of our ENG folks.
Don, I assume you heard Ronaldo's statement yesterday regarding MLS, and I assume you disagree.
Well, I didn't hear it until I was walking in, so I've been busy. So now I know what he said, and I said, listen, we have always been that league that is the challenger league, and I believe very much in Major League Soccer, and I believe in our role in continuing to be an important part of the professional soccer world, and I'm very proud of what we've achieved, and I think our players are very proud of what we achieved and proud of being part of the MLS story.
All right, we're going to go to the back there. I think we...
Not my first rodeo.
We're going to go to the back, and then we have time for one more. Josh, do you want to? One of you guys want to get the mic back there?
Hello, sir. I'm Julio Chavez with Reuters. You've said in the past couple weeks, past couple months, that you don't really see promotion and relegation in the near or immediate future of the MLS. However, going back a little bit to the talks of expansion and the strategy needed for stuff like that, why do you think? What are the barriers, the specific barriers that prevent promotion and relegation from being incorporated in this general 10-year vision?
The primary barrier is the fact that we have teams that will invest $1 billion in building their club and building their facility, and that investment requires being part of a system that allows them to be able to plan for what that means for them on and off the field. That doesn't exist in any other country in the world because soccer or football has been around for a lifetime and they can move up and down the pyramid. So I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I've also learned that never is a long time. We'll have 30 teams, maybe at some point we'll have more than 30 teams. Got this interesting competition going on with Mexico. Who knows how all that plays itself out? The minor leagues are developing well in our country. MLS Next Pro is developing well. We have independent teams that are coming in there. So we should always be thinking about what do we need to do to ensure we're capturing the opportunity. And we've proven the ability to be innovative and take risk. But there's a long way to go before we have a system, in my opinion does matter in this, that can support the economics of promotion and relegation in Major League Soccer.
All right, we have time for one final question. The gentleman right down here. Apologies to everyone, but we do have players coming in.
Hi, Don, right here. Jake Nissy, Daily Mail. Obviously, the backdrop sort of...
We'll go one more. He looks really upset, so we'll go to him, and then we'll go. You okay? Okay.
Commissioner overruled me.
Obviously, the sort of backdrop to Messi and Busquets' arrival is Miami's standing with the league. Obviously, they're struggling a bit this year, and those players are going to have a real fight to make the postseason. How worried are you, I guess, about the prospect of Messi not being involved in the postseason and what that would look like for the league?
Yeah, I mean, I lived through what was a 5-year experience with David Beckham, and for those of you who were around, the beginning wasn't easy for anyone. He was injured, the team struggled, and then it worked out pretty well, 2 championships. So, this signing is a summer window signing so that the team obviously has got to figure it all out and is doing that in real time. They've got their first game on Friday and then games obviously coming up right after that. So I don't believe that anyone is looking at it in the short term. They're looking at it, over the 2.5 years that Lionel Messi will be in the league. I will say that is not going to be something that's going to determine, in my opinion, whether this was successful or not, right? Teams have to do what they need to do to win. Leagues are agnostic as to that, and people might not agree with that, but we are. We just want our teams to be really, really valuable locally to their fans, have great in-stadium experience, being able to be connected in the community. Winning is part of that, but winning is not the only strategy that clubs need to have in order to be successful.
Right,
Great.
question. We got one more down here.
Nope, we're good. Great.
Yeah. One more.
Hi there, this is Francisco from Supiras in Mexico. There's a lot of talk about Messi and other players that are coming to the MLS, but as well, on the last years, there's been a lot of MLS players going to the major European leagues. So what are your expectations on that for the near future and on the developing MLS as well as a league for keep growing young players and turning them into
So, you know, you
stars?
can't be one of the top leagues in the world without having an active transfer market, without being a player in the global transfer system. And until a few years ago, we were not a player. We were primarily a buyer and not a seller. I said at this press conference a couple of years ago, we got to be more of a selling league, and then everybody thought we were going to be selling all of our players. That's not what I said. What I was saying is you have to be a participant in the global football market, and we are now. You know, our player transfers over the last couple of years have been just defying our expectations, and I think it speaks to the value of our developing programs and our homegrown player programs. When we see a player that goes over, Matt Turner playing for Arsenal and being the star of our national team and having such great success, just as an example, because of the Arsenal connection, being developed and playing in New England, that's a really positive story. And I think more of those stories are going to be better for everybody.